आज बाइडेन का ये बहुत अहम संबोधन, सभी की निगाहें टिकी है। क्या कुछ आज अमेरिका के राष्ट्रपति जो बाइडेन अपने संबोधन में कहने वाले हैं? रूस और यूक्रेन की जंग पर क्या होगा आगे अमेरिका का रुख? इस सवाल का जवाब हर कोई सुनना चाहता है। राष्ट्रपति जो बाइडेन थोड़ी देर में अपने स्टेट ऑफ द यूनियन एड्रेस में इसका जवाब दे सकते हैं।
Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and distinct honor of presenting to you the President of the United States.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you, General. Thank you. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you. Please. Thank you so much. Madam Speaker, Madam Vice President, our First Lady and Second Gentleman, members of Congress and the Cabinet, Justice of the Supreme Court, my fellow Americans. Last year, COVID-19 kept us apart. This year, we're finally together again. Tonight, we meet as Democrats, Republicans, and Independents, but most importantly, as Americans, with the duty to one another, to America, to the American people, to the Constitution, and an unwavering resolve that freedom will always triumph over tyranny. Thank you. 6 days ago, Russia's Vladimir Putin sought to shake the very foundations of the free world, thinking he could make it bend to his menacing ways. But he badly miscalculated. He thought he could roll into Ukraine and the world would roll over. Instead, he met with a wall of strength he never anticipated.
शुरू हो चुका है और जैसा कि अंदेशा लगाया जा रहा था कि एक बड़ा मुद्दा रूस और यूक्रेन के बीच चल रही जंग होगा, और इसी खबर से हम अब शुरुआत कर रहे हैं। आपको बता दें कि अपने संबोधन की शुरुआत कर चुके हैं और शुरुआत ही उन्होंने रूस और यूक्रेन के बीच चल रहे युद्ध से किया है। और यूक्रेन के बारे में उन्होंने कहा कि यूक्रेन की स्थिति इस वक्त जो है, हम यूक्रेन के साथ हैं और रूस जिस तरह से हमला कर रहा है यूक्रेन पर, ये विश्व शांति के लिए एक बड़ा खतरा है और रूस को ये समझना होगा कि हम यूक्रेन के साथ खड़े हैं और इस तरह से रूस को अपनी मनमानी करने नहीं देंगे।
Ukrainian ambassador to the United States is here tonight, sitting with the First Lady. Let each of us, if you're able to stand and send an unmistakable signal to the world of Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. She's bright, she's strong, and she's resolved. Yes, we, the United States of America, stand with the Ukrainian people.
हम यूक्रेनियंस के साथ खड़े हैं।
We've learned this lesson. When dictators do not pay a price for their aggression, they cause more chaos. They keep moving. The cost, the threats to America, to the world, keeps rising. That's why the NATO alliance was created, to secure peace and stability in Europe after World War II. The United States is a member, along with 29 other nations.
United States nations के साथ एक member है.
American resolve matters.
American resolve matter करता है.
Was premeditated and totally unprovoked. He rejected
पूरी तरह से unprovoked attack था यूक्रेन पर.
He thought the West and NATO wouldn't respond.
उनको लगा कि वेस्ट और नेटो रिस्पॉन्ड नहीं करेगा पुतिन को।
He thought he could divide us in Europe as well. But Putin was
उनको लगा कि वो यूरोप को डिवाइड करेंगे।
We are united and that's what we did. We stayed united. We
हम
prepared
तैयार हैं, हम यूनाइटेड हैं और हम यूनाइटेड रहे।
We spent months building coalitions of other freedom-loving nations in Europe and the Americas, from America to the Asian and African continents, to confront Putin. Like many of you, I spent countless hours unifying your European allies. We shared with the world in advance what we knew Putin was planning and precisely how he would try to falsify and justify his aggression. We countered Russia's lies with the truth.
हमने रशिया के झूठों का मुकाबला किया सच्चाई के साथ।
The free world is holding him accountable.
The free world जो है वो पुतिन को accountable hold करता है।
As well as countries like the United Kingdom, Canada, Japan, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and many others, even Switzerland, are inflicting pain on Russia and supporting the people of Ukraine. Putin is now isolated from the world more than he has ever been. Together,
एक साथ हम सब
Together, along with our allies, we are right now enforcing powerful economic sanctions. We're cutting off Russia's largest banks from the international financial system, preventing Russia's central bank from defending the Russian ruble, making Putin's $630 billion war fund worthless. We're choking Russia's access.
रशिया का एक्सेस जो कर रहे हैं उसकी $630 billion का गूगल वॉर फंड को पूरी तरह से वर्थलेस बना दिया है हमने।
I say to the Russian oligarchs and the corrupt leaders who built billions of dollars off this violent regime, no more. The United States.
आज मैं रशियन ओलिगार्क्स को कहता हूँ जिन्होंने इस रिजीम का इस्तेमाल करके जो आगे बढ़े हैं, फाइनेंशियली आगे बढ़े हैं, बस।
The United States Department of Justice is assembling a dedicated task force to go after the crimes of the Russian oligarchs. We're joining with European allies to find and seize their yachts, their luxury apartments, their private jets. We're coming for your ill-begotten gains. And tonight, I'm announcing that we will join our allies in closing off American airspace to all Russian flights, further isolating
Russian airspace को हम American airspace को Russian aircraft से निकल करेंगे। आज मैं नाम करता हूँ।
He has no idea what's coming.
उनको कोई आइडिया नहीं है कि क्या करने वाले हैं हम।
The Russian stock market has lost 40% of its value, and
रशियन
trading
स्टॉक
remains
मार्केट में
suspended.
40% उसका
The
वैल्यू
Russian
खत्म हो
economy is
चुका है।
reeling, and Putin alone is the one to
पूरी
blame.
इकोनॉमी ध्वस्त है।
Together with our allies, we're providing
हमारे
support
allies
to
के
the
साथ।
Ukrainians in their fight for freedom.
हम
Military
यूक्रेनियंस के
assistance,
साथ खड़े हैं।
economic assistance, humanitarian assistance. We're giving more
Economic
than $1
assistance,
billion
humanitarian
in direct
assistance.
assistance to Ukraine, and will continue to aid Ukrainian people as they defend their country and help ease their
हम
suffering.
यूक्रेन को सपोर्ट करते रहेंगे जब तक वो अपनी कंट्री को डिफेंड कर रहे हैं।
But let me be clear, our forces are not engaged and will not engage in the conflict with Russian forces in Ukraine.
हमारे
Our
फोर्सेस
forces are not
कॉन्फ्लिक्ट में
going to
एंगेज नहीं
Europe to
करेंगे।
fight Ukraine, but to defend our NATO allies in the event that Putin decides to keep moving west. For that purpose, we have mobilized
But
American ground forces,
अगर
air
NATO allies
squadrons,
को डिफेंड
ship
करने की बात है,
deployments to
अगर
protect
पुतिन
NATO
आगे बढ़ता
countries,
रहे
including
तब
Poland, Romania, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. And as I've made crystal clear, the United States and our allies will defend every inch of territory that is NATO territory with the full force of our collective
यूएस
power.
और उसके
Every
allies
single inch.
अपनी टेरिटरी एवरी इंच और अपनी टेरिटरी जो नेटो allies की टेरिटरी है उसको डिफेंड करेगी पूरे फोर्स के साथ, पूरे के साथ।
And we're clear-eyed. The Ukrainians are fighting back with pure courage. But the next few
यूक्रेनियंस
days,
पूरी
weeks,
हिम्मत के
and
साथ लड़ रहे
months
हैं।
will be hard on them. Putin has unleashed violence and chaos.
पुतिन
While
ने
he may make
हिंसा
gains on the battlefield, he'll pay a continuing high price over the long run.
वो इसकी कीमत देता
And the
रहेगा।
pound of Ukrainian people, proud people, pound
हम
for pound, ready to
यूक्रेनियंस
fight with every inch
पर
of
गर्व
urgency they
महसूस
have.
करते हैं।
They've known 30 years of independence. Have
30 साल
repeatedly
की बस
shown
उनकी
that they will
independence रही
not
है।
tolerate anyone who tries to take their country backwards.
पर वो किसी को अपना देश
I'll be honest with you, as
उनसे
all this
छीनने नहीं
builds up,
देंगे।
Russian dictator invading a foreign country has cost
एक
around the
रशियन
world.
डिक्टेटर ने एक फॉरेन कंट्री को इन्वेट किया है।
To make sure the pain of our sanctions is targeted at Russian economy, and that we use
हम
every
पूरी
tool at
तरह
our
से ये
disposal
इंश्योर
to protect
करेंगे जो
American
सैंक्शन
businesses
का
and
जो
consumers.
पेन है, जो दर्द है,
Tonight,
रशिया महसूस
I
करे।
can announce the United States has worked with 30 other countries to release 60 million barrels of oil
यूनाइटेड
from reserves
स्टेट्स
around
ने
the world.
30 कंट्रीज के साथ काम किया है।
We'll lead that effort, releasing 30 million barrels of our own strategic petroleum reserve. And we stand
30
ready to do
million
more if
barrels of
necessary,
strategic oil and
united
reserves हैं
with
हमारे
our
पास।
allies. These steps will help blunt gas prices here at home, but I know news about what's happening can seem
गैस
alarming to all
प्राइसेस
Americans.
हमारी तरफ से हम कम
But I want you
रखेंगे।
to know, we're going to be okay. We're going to
हम
be okay.
बिल्कुल ठीक
When
होंगे।
the history of this era is written, Putin's war in Ukraine will have left Russia weaker and the rest of the world stronger.
पुतिन की ये जंग रशिया को कमजोर करेगी और पूरी दूसरे देशों को मजबूत।
While it shouldn't have taken something so terrible for people around the world to see what's at stake, now everyone sees it clearly.
अब सब
We see
देख
the
रहे
unity
हैं,
among
साफ
leaders
साफ
of
देख रहे हैं।
nations, a more unified Europe, a more unified West. We see unity among the people who are gathering in
एकजुट यूरोप,
cities
एकजुट वेस्ट।
and large crowds around the world, even in Russia, to demonstrate their support for the people of Ukraine. In the battle between democracy and autocracies, democracies are rising to the moment, and the world is clearly choosing the side of peace
और
and
एक
security.
स्वतंत्रता के बीच,
This is the real
एक
test.
डेमोक्रेसी के बीच
It's
जो
gonna take
फर्क है वो
time.
लोग देख रहे हैं।
So let us continue to draw inspiration from the iron will of the Ukrainian people.
यूक्रेनियन से हमें इंस्पिरेशन लेना चाहिए।
Who forged a deep bond that connects our two nations. We stand with you. We stand
वी
with you.
स्टैंड विद यूक्रेन। हम यूक्रेन के साथ खड़े हैं। हमारे बीच एक डीप बॉन्ड है, एक कनेक्ट है हमारे बीच।
Souls of the Iranian people. He'll never extinguish their love of freedom. and he will never, never weaken the resolve of the free world.
पुतिन कभी भी फ्री वर्ल्ड का जो रिजॉल्व है, जो उसका एक शक्ति है, उसे कभी भी तोड़ नहीं पाएगा, उसे कभी भी खत्म नहीं कर पाएगा, ना यूक्रेन का, ना फ्री वर्ल्ड का.
We meet tonight in an America that has lived through two of the hardest years this nation has ever faced.
अमेरिका ने
Pandemic has been punishing.
बहुत ही कठिन 2 साल देखे हैं, पैंडेमिक की वजह से, कोविड की वजह से.
Struggling to keep up with the rising cost of food, gas, housing, and so much more. I understand, like many of you do.
हमारी अर्थव्यवस्था
My dad
ने
had to
बहुत
leave his home in
मुश्किलें
Scranton,
देखी हैं.
Pennsylvania, to find work. So, like many of you, I grew up in a family when the price of food went up. It was felt throughout the family. It had an impact.
मैंने आप लोगों की तरह अपने बचपन में देखा है जंग की कॉस्ट को.
Because people were hurting. We needed to act, and we did. Few pieces of legislation have done more at a critical moment in our history to lift us out of a crisis.
क्योंकि लोगों को इस अर्थव्यवस्था पर जो असर हो रहा था, उससे उन पर असर हो रहा था. हमें कुछ कदम लेने पड़े और उसका असर दिखा है.
Remember those long lines of cars waiting for hours just to get a box of food put in their trunk?
आपको याद रखा होगा तो जो हम लोग लंबे लाइन पे खड़े होते थे सिर्फ खाना पिक करने के लिए.
$2 trillion tax cut passed in the previous administration that benefited the top 1% of Americans. The American Rescue Plan helped working people and left no one behind. Folks, and it worked. It worked. It worked. We created jobs, lots of jobs. In fact, our economy created over 6.5 million new jobs just last year. More jobs in 1 year than ever before in the history of the United States of America. The economy grew at a rate of 5.7 last year, the strongest growth rate in 40 years. And the first step in bringing fundamental change to our economy that hasn't worked for working people in this nation for too long. For the past 40 years, we were told the tax break for those at the top and benefits would trickle down and everyone would benefit. But that trickle-down theory led to a weaker economic growth, lower wages, bigger deficits, and a widening gap between the top and everyone else in nearly a century. Look, Vice President Harris and I ran for office, and I realized we
40% ऑफ टैक्स को जो इम्पैक्ट होता है वो दूसरे जो कमजोर स्ट्राटा में है वो ट्रिकल डाउन करेगा, वैसा हुआ नहीं.
Build the economy from the bottom up and the middle out, not from the top
हमने
down.
फिर से अर्थव्यवस्था को खड़ी करने की कोशिश की और नीचे के बाद बॉटम अप अप्रोच रखा.
Because we know when the middle class grows, the poor go way up and the wealthy do very well.
हमने जाना कि जब मिडिल क्लास ग्रो करता है तब जो उनसे तबके के लोग हैं वो भी ग्रो करते हैं.
Won't be able to compete for the jobs of the 21st century if we don't fix it. That's why it was so important to pass the bipartisan infrastructure law. And I thank my Republican friends for joining to invest and rebuild America. The single biggest investment in history. It was a bipartisan effort, and I want to thank the members of both parties who worked to make it happen. We're done talking about infrastructure weeks. We're now talking about an infrastructure decade. And look, there's something happening in America. Just look around and you'll see an amazing story. The rebirth of pride that comes from stamping products made in America. The revitalization of American manufacturing. Companies are choosing to build new factories here when just a few years ago they would have gone overseas. That's what's happening. Ford is investing $11 billion in electric vehicles, creating 11,000 jobs across the country. GM is making the largest investment in its history, $7 billion to build electric vehicles, creating 4,000 jobs in Michigan. All told, 369,000 new manufacturing jobs were created in America last year alone. Folks, powered by people I've met like JoJo Burgess from generations of union steelworkers in Pittsburgh, who's here tonight. Where are you, JoJo? There you go. Thanks, buddy. As Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown says, it's time to bury the label Rust Belt. It's time to see the what used to be called Rust Belt become the home of a significant resurgence of manufacturing. And with all the bright spots in our economy,
हम मैन्युफैक्चरिंग को दोबारा से खड़ा करेंगे.
Too many families are struggling to keep up with their bills. Inflation.
Many जो फैमिलीज हैं, तो काफी सारी फैमिलीज हैं अपने बिल्स पे नहीं कर पा रहे आज.
I get it. That's why my
मैं
top
समझता
priority
हूँ.
is getting prices under control. Look, our economy.
मैं पूरी तरह से प्रायोरिटाइज कर रहा हूँ कि जो कीमतें हैं उनको काबू में रखें.
Businesses had a hard time hiring enough people because of the pandemic.
मुझे पता है कि बिजनेसेस को मुश्किलें आई हैं लोगों को हायर करने में.
Making those beams that went into buildings because they were out. The factory was closed.
फैक्ट्रीज बंद हो गई, लोगों को दोबारा लाने में मुश्किलें आई हैं. जब ऐसा होता है वक्त लगता है दोबारा सब कुछ खड़ा करने में.
1/3 of all the inflation was because of automobile sales. There weren't enough semiconductors to make all the cars that people wanted to buy.
जो 1/3 इन्फ्लेशन था पिछले साल वो ऑटोमोबाइल सेल्स से हुआ था क्योंकि सेमीकंडक्टर्स नहीं बनाए जा रहे थे जिस पर खड़ा होता है ऑटोमोबाइल.
One way to fight inflation is to drive down wages and make Americans poorer. I think I have a better idea to fight inflation. Lower your costs, not your wages. Folks,
इन्फ्लेशन को अगर काबू में करना है तो मैं आपको बताता हूँ तरीका क्या है. कॉस्ट कम कीजिए, लोगों की तनख्वाहें नहीं. हम सेमी कंडक्टर्स जो हैं अमेरिका में बनाएंगे. इससे कीमतें भी कम रहेंगी, कॉस्ट कम रहेगा और यहाँ पर नौकरियां बनेंगी.
Economists call this increasing the productive capacity of our economy. I call it building a better America.
अर्थशास्त्री कहते हैं कि इसका मतलब होगा हम हमारी प्रोडक्शन कैपेसिटी बढ़ा रहे हैं. मैं कहता हूँ कि हम अमेरिका मजबूत कर रहे हैं, हम अमेरिका तैयार कर रहे हैं.
Said my plan will ease long-term inflationary pressures. Top business leaders, and I believe most Americans support the plan. And here's the plan. First, cut the cost of prescription drugs.
मैं जानता हूँ कि टॉप बिजनेस लीडर्स मेरे प्लान को सपोर्ट करते हैं और ये रहा मेरा प्लान. सबसे पहला प्लान, प्रिस्क्रिप्शन ड्रग्स, दवाइयों की कीमतें कम करो.
Just look at insulin. 1 in 10 Americans has diabetes.
अब इंसुलिन की कीमत देख लो. इस
I
पर
met a 13-year-old boy, the handsome young man standing up there, Joshua Davis.
वर्जीनिया में इस लड़के से मिला था मैं.
He and his dad both had type 1 diabetes.
इसको और इसके पिता दोनों को टाइप 1 डायबिटीज है.
Insulin costs about $10 a vial to make. That's what it costs.
इंसुलिन की एक वायल के लिए $10 लगते हैं बनाने में.
Drug companies charge families like Joshua and his dad up to 30 times that amount. I spoke with
ड्रग
Joshua's
कंपनीज,
mom.
फार्मास्यूटिकल
Imagine what
कंपनीज
it's like to look at your
30%
child
ज्यादा
who
मांगती
needs
है.
insulin to stay healthy. and have no idea how in God's name you're going to be able to pay for it.
कब तक ये पे
What it
करेंगे?
does to your family, but what it does to your dignity, your ability to look your child in the eye, to be the parent you expect yourself to be.
मैं जानता हूँ ये आपके साथ क्या करता है मानसिक तौर पर.
You know, yesterday, Joshua's here tonight, but yesterday was his birthday. Happy birthday, buddy, by the way.
कल इस लड़के का बर्थडे था.
And 200,000 other young people with type 1 diabetes. Let's cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month.
मैं कहता हूँ कि इंसुलिन की कॉस्ट को $35 a month पर हम क्या कर देंगे?
While we're at it, I know we have great disagreements on this floor with this. Let's let Medicare negotiate the price of prescription drugs.
प्रिस्क्रिप्शन ड्रग्स की जो कीमतें हैं उस पर निगोशिएट करते हैं.
They already set the
कब
price
तैयार
for
है?
VA drugs. Look, the American Rescue Plan is helping millions of families with Affordable Care Act plans to save them $2,400 a year on their health premiums. Let's close the coverage gap and make these savings permanent. And second,
जो अफोर्डेबल हेल्थ केयर प्लान है हमारा
let's cut
उसको
energy costs
और
for families.
अफोर्डेबल बनाते हैं.
$500 a year by combating climate change. Let's provide an investment tax credits to weatherize your home and your business, to be energy efficient and get a tax credit for it. Double America's clean energy production
आपकी
in solar,
बिजनेस
wind,
को
and so much
एनर्जी
more.
एफिशिएंट बनाने के लिए हम
Lower
आपको
electric
टैक्स
vehicles
क्रेडिट
saving
देंगे.
another $80 a month that you're not going to have to pay at the pump. Folks, the third thing we can do to change the standard of living for hard-working folks is cut the cost of child care.
चाइल्ड केयर का जो कॉस्ट है उसको कम करते हैं. ये मेरा तीसरा प्लान है.
If you live in a major city in America, you pay up to $14,000 a year for child care per child.
अगर आप अमेरिका के किसी बड़े शहर में रहते हो तो सालाना आप $14,000 एक बच्चे पर खर्च करते हो, चाइल्ड केयर पर खर्च करते हो.
Middle class and working folks shouldn't have to pay more than 7% of their income to care for the young children. My plan.
मिडिल क्लास है उनको 7% से ज्यादा अपने इनकम के 7% से ज्यादा खर्च करने की जरूरत नहीं होनी चाहिए चाइल्ड केयर पर.
And help parents, including millions of women who left the workforce during the pandemic because they couldn't afford child care, to be able to get back to work, generating economic growth. But my plan doesn't stop there. It also includes home and long-term care, more affordable housing, pre-K for 3- and 4-year-olds. All these will lower costs to families. And under my plan, nobody, let me say this again, nobody earning less than $400,000 a year will pay an additional penny in new taxes. Not a single penny.
मैं ये कहता हूँ कि कोई भी जो $4,000 सालाना से कम कमाता है अमेरिका में वो एक पैसा और देगा टैक्स की तरफ.
That we'd all agree that the present tax system ain't fair. We
हम
have to
चाहते
fix
हैं
it.
कि जो प्रेजेंट
I'm not
टैक्स
looking to punish
सिस्टम है वो
anybody.
फेयर हो.